Hello, ghosties. I'm Chance Lee,
And I'm Amanda McAvoy.
and this is That's So Gothic, a movie podcast about girls, guys, and haunted houses. Today's movie is about the horrors of trying to find an apartment before the internet. It's Single White Female.
In this city, on this street, in this apartment.
Hi, are you Allison Jones? I'm Hedra Carlson.
Hedra, that's unusual. When can you move in?
An ad for a roommate brought a stranger into Allison's life. Someone
And the beautiful on you.
who shares.
Well, it's kind of fun having a girlfriend again.
Someone
Do you guys know when you'll be back?
No, it's kind of an anniversary tonight.
Really?
who cares.
Where the hell have you been?
Making me feel like I'm 16 years old here.
Someone who borrows.
I've got a surprise for you.
You've got to be kidding.
I love myself like this.
It was like looking at myself. It was scary.
Someone who steals.
Hey, sleepy guy.
Allie?
No, not Allie.
Someone who would kill to be her.
Possible bloodstains.
You gotta help me, Grim.
She's a lunatic, Allie.
She needs me.
How do you lock the terror out
Don't make me come get you!
when you've already invited it in?
Look at me!
Bridget Fonda,
I know you weren't yourself when you did this thing.
Jennifer Jason Leigh,
I know. That was you.
single white female. Living with a roommate can be murder.
Be careful, she's crazy.
Released in 1992, Single White Female was directed by Barbet Schroeder with a screenplay by Roos, and it is based on a novel called Single White Female Seeks Same by John Lutz. It stars Bridget Fonda as Allie, a single white female and computer programmer, I guess, and Jennifer Jason Leigh as Hetty, her new roommate, Steven Weber as Sam, Allie's shitty ex, Stephen Tobolowsky as Mitch, Allie's shitty client, and Peter Friedman as Graham, Allie's gay friend and the only decent man in the whole movie.
Yes, love him.
And he has a cute orange cat.
Yeah.
This is the story of a young woman who unwittingly welcomes a jealous psycho into her life. Surprisingly, Ebert gave it 3 stars. He had a lot of interesting things to say about it. He said that there's a certain rising tide of madness in the movie that is one of the movie's pleasures. Evidence that it was made by a man who directs films instead of simply manufacturing them.
That's a really, that's high praise, honestly.
I liked that statement, and that's why I like this movie too. I find it very artsy.
Yeah.
It's very European. And Ebert pointed out that it builds to a manic crescendo instead of simply delivering the required number of slashes and quitting. There is one climax after another until it seems as if the characters will drop of exhaustion, and yet they fight on.
Yes.
And that's one of my favorite things about this movie too, is that it simmers, and then it goes from 0 to just full on camp in the last 20 minutes.
It really does. I cannot believe how much action happens in that short amount of time. Like how much story progression and chaos. It's insane.
It's really well done. So was this your first time seeing this movie?
It was, yes. I actually, almost not true, because I did start watching it a while ago, because you've recommended this movie to me a few times. So I started watching it a good while ago, maybe like a year ago, I can't remember. And I stopped watching it because I knew something bad was going to happen to the dog. So I turned it off. They make it
Yeah.
very clear something bad is going to happen to the dog almost instantly when you see
Yeah.
the dog on screen. And I could not handle it. It's such a cute dog.
Very buddy.
Buddy, oh, he's so sweet. Like I'm a dog person anyways, but like I'm not usually like a stereotypical American golden retriever dog person. He is just such a little, oh, he's such a cutie. So yes, this was my first time watching the whole movie. I'm glad I fought through the bad dog part.
You might not want to listen to this part, and if you are a dog lover, you want to skip ahead a few seconds. But on the commentary, they talk about how they had a special effects person make what the producer calls an exploded dog, and and they showed it in one of the original cuts of the movie, and the audience hated that.
Yeah.
So then they had him make a less exploded dog, and they shot it from further away.
Yeah.
And the audience still hated it. So then they
Yeah.
were like, we can't even get close to this dog.
Right. Yeah. Because it's dead. It's implied that he like fell out of a window, whether or not he fell or was thrown, whatever. But it's basically shot from the apartment. So it's 20 floors up, and you just see this little toupee of a dog on the ground. So you don't see anything too bad. I don't even know if there's blood. There might be a little bit, but yeah, it's like you barely see anything.
Yeah, they realized that was not.
Yeah,
weren't gonna have fun with that.
Right. You can kill all the men that you want, just not the dogs.
Not
Men,
the dog.
children, anything else, just not dogs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Jennifer Jason Leigh character ever recovers after that.
No.
She's the villain.
Yeah, she is. There's no turning back.
I've seen this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I saw it on VHS tape as like a child because my mom and grandmother would always rent movies and put them in the VCR, and then we would sit there and watch them even though they were wholly inappropriate.
Yeah.
And this movie held some sort of mystique for me. And over the years, it was very popular. It was in the cultural zeitgeist, but it really held on to me. And I didn't rewatch it for years and years and years. And then I remember rewatching it as an adult and thinking, all right, we've got two fierce ladies. All the straight men are bad. The gay man doesn't die and gets to be the hero. This had to have been written by a gay man. And I looked it up, and it was.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know. Now, was the book or the screenplay?
I found very little about the book.
Oh, okay.
But the screenplay was adapted by Don Roos, and he is one of my favorite Hollywood gay men because he wrote and directed a movie called The Opposite of Sex with Christina Ricci and Lisa Kudrow. That was my favorite movie when I was 15.
Wow.
And it had my favorite movie quote when I was 15, which is when Christina Ricci says, "My mother was the kind of mother who always said she was her daughter's best friend. Whenever she did, I thought, great, not only do I have a shitty mother, but my best friend's a loser bitch."
I love that.
And then when I rewatched The Opposite of Sex as an adult,
Yeah.
I wanted to fucking strangle Christina Ricci.
Really?
And I think that movie is perfect because as a teenager, I thought she was the coolest. And then as an adult, I was Lisa Kudrow. I was like, I fucking hate this little shit.
Right? Like what better testament to being able to write a teenage character than that? That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think about that in Single White Female when the gay man, I forget what he does, and Bridget Fonda says something to him like, that was very masculine of you. And he says, I can be butch when I want to. I get it from my mother. Like, that's also should be a tip off. Only a gay man would write that line,
is so
even for a
true.
gay character. Only a gay writer could come up with that line.
That is so true.
But yeah, I love this movie. I just learned or remembered that there was a 2005 directed video softcore sequel It is no Poison Ivy 2 : Lily.
Oh,
Let me tell you that.
ridiculous.
I didn't finish it. I did put it on, and it's terrible. But
Mm,
the acting was surprisingly really good.
really?
The script is garbage, but the actors were great.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll finish,
Mm,
but because it was so boring and I don't even care what's gonna happen next. But
yeah.
while I was watching it, I was engaged because the actors were so good.
Hmm. It's funny actually. I did know about that only because so I don't I'm sure it's obvious to our listeners, but I don't do like a ton of research before jumping into these episodes. But I was like, did they remake this movie? Like something in my head said like, "Oh, did they remake this?" So I googled it. What I was thinking of was there was this movie called The Roommate starring Leighton Meester and oh my god, I cannot remember Minka Kelly. And it was like almost the same plot
Okay.
except like I guess a lot worse. I don't know if I'd ever watched it. I feel like maybe I did. I feel like it came out in that same time as like When a Stranger Calls that we talked
That
about,
era.
that era of like kind of crazy CW star women, but it's actually not that intense or gory or violent. It's just kind of like thrillers for teenage girls.
For
Like
teenagers, and they're
yes,
probably PG-13.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, but yeah, I could have sworn that was a remake, but it's not. Apparently, that's like technically has nothing to do with each other, but I think it's probably technically a remake.
There was also Single Black Female on Lifetime a couple years
Oh,
ago, which I have not yet watched.
is it a remake just with a black character?
I think so. I think that's maybe like the Rosemary's Baby remake where the
Mm.
story is the same, but the plot beats are all different.
Oh, okay, okay. Hmm.
And then I was wondering, I was like, "Oh, why there should be a gay remake of this movie."
Mm.
But then I realized it would just be a documentary about gay dating because gay men love dating men who look just like them.
That's so
Like, so that's why it wouldn't work.
they would just
It would
like
be a romance. It would
yeah,
be yeah, like they would live happily ever after.
right. They could just be crazy together.
I had a friend and we used to look on the gay dating apps and the hookup
Yeah.
apps and stuff. And whenever there was a photo of two guys, we would play a game called Boyfriend or Brother.
Yes.
Like, are they
Yeah.
related or are they dating?
Yeah.
Because they're so similar.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. So would this one have like a token straight woman as the roommate? I feel like it
So when I
okay,
was
go.
thinking of it being a movie before I
Uh-huh.
realized it would just be a documentary, I was like, okay, we get Zachary Quinto,
Ooh,
we
yeah.
get any of the other interchangeable like
Yes.
white men from the Ryan Murphy stable of
Yes.
gays.
I know exactly like what you're talking about. Yep.
And then I wanted Jillian Bell to be the
Jillian
friend.
Bell. I don't know if I'm familiar. Let me Google them
She
real
was
quick.
in a movie that I never saw called Brittany Runs a Marathon.
Oh, okay.
She gives kind of Rebel Wilson vibes, but she's
Oh,
American.
why do I know her so well?
I really liked her in 22 Jump Street.
That is where I know her from.
She
Yes.
steals that movie.
Yes, she does. Oh, she's funny. Oh, she'd be good. Yeah.
And she was in Goosebumps with Jack Black.
Oh, I love Goosebumps.
So that was my dream cast.
That's good. That's good. I
Yeah,
think you should
yeah.
make that happen.
But let's talk about the cast of this movie.
Yes.
We have Bridget Fonda,
Hmm.
niece of Jane,
Oh.
Jane's niece. She
Hmm.
is the wife of Danny Elfman, the composer,
Oh, interesting.
who is did a lot of Tim Burton
Everything. Yeah.
movies, The Simpsons.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen a picture of Danny Elfman?
I don't think so. Do
Don't
I
do
need
it.
to know?
He looks like so on the second season of Chucky, there's this
Yeah.
very muscular Chucky doll that they call Hulk Chucky,
Yeah.
and Danny Elfman is a real life, like 6 foot tall Hulk Chucky.
He looks like if Carrot Top played the Warp Tour.
I forgot. You are so right. He does look like Carrot Top because he
Yeah.
has that I don't know what it is about older redhead men should not
Yes.
get facelifts because they both have the
Yes.
same weird face.
Something happens to like their face just gets wider. It gets like
Mhm.
very wide and their lips get very, I don't know. I hate body shaming, but like stop. It's weird.
It's very Jack Nicholson Joker looking.
Yeah, right. It is. It is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also hate body shaming, but these are choices. This is
That is
not
true. That is
just
true.
his body. He
Yeah.
chooses to wear his hair the way he
Yeah.
does,
Yep.
which is like a shoulder length bob.
Right.
He
Yeah.
chooses to pull his face back.
Yeah.
He chooses to go around shirtless all the time.
I was just gonna say, I
Like,
wouldn't know that he had as many tattoos as he has if like almost all of the search results that came back were him topless.
yes. And I
Yeah,
mean, if I look like that when I'm 72, I might as well.
that's true.
So
He
that's
doesn't have like a
kind of a
bad
compliment.
body. Yeah,
But all of that together is just so overwhelming.
it's a lot. I cannot believe that's what he looks like.
Yeah.
I'm
And
blown
so
away.
I guess happily married to Bridget Fonda. They've been married
Good.
like 30 years. I don't
Oh
know. They got
wow.
married in the 90s, I think. And then
Oh,
she never acted again.
good for her. Good for
So
her.
I really like I think she is phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah.
I like her in Jackie Brown as well.
Oh, who?
The
I haven't watched that in forever.
She's Samuel L. Jackson's blonde girlfriend,
Okay.
Melanie,
Okay.
and she is in a great movie called A Simple no, I almost said it's A Simple Plan. And now I get
Okay.
it confused with A Simple Favor, which is
Yes.
Blake Lively. But A Simple Plan is Billy Bob Thornton, Sling
Mm-hmm.
Blade, and Bill Paxton
Oh.
and Bridget Fonda. And they live in this rural place. It's snowy. It's very Fargo adjacent.
Mm.
And a plane crashes in the woods near where they live. And they go out there and they find shit tons of money.
Ooh.
And they decide to keep it. And then things
Ooh.
spiral out of control. But Bridget Fonda is so fucking good. They're all good in
Really?
that movie, but she's great in that
Yeah.
movie. I love her. And I hope she's happy.
Yeah.
I hope she's happy.
Right. I mean, more power to you.
More power to her.
Yep.
Do you have an opinion on Bridget Fonda?
So this was, I'm assuming, like I said, I saw Jackie Brown, but it was a long time ago. So this is really the first thing I've seen of hers that I would remember her in, and she's wonderful. She's great. Um, I think she does a great job in this movie. Um, she's very like charming in this movie.
Yes.
I really liked her. Yeah, and somehow she pulls off that weird mushroom haircut.
She
It's
does.
really
It's
bad.
a very strange haircut.
It's very bad. It's very bad.
Jennifer Jason Leigh loves it though. She says,
She does.
I love myself like this.
I love myself like this. Why, girl? Get better role models. Like your roommate couldn't have had like a beautiful blowout or something.
I
Yeah.
guess the hair was a big deal. They talk about that in the commentary,
Yeah.
that it was short and red,
Mm,
and the studio executives didn't want that,
really?
but
I mean,
they decided it was critical to the story.
I feel like it had to have been something kind of different and a little bit outlandish because I joked like, oh, I wish she just had like this beautiful, brunette blowout. But if she had that and then her roommate comes back with it too, it's like, oh, is she copying me or is she just being like every other, 30 something from Manhattan, from
That's a really
Seaport?
good point.
Like, so I think it kind of had to be a little bit strange in order for it to actually feel like she's being copied.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it might also be a Rosemary's Baby tribute
Mm,
with the short hair. There's a
yeah.
lot of Rosemary's Baby in this movie, and
Right.
on the commentary, Barbet Schroeder talks about Rosemary's Baby being an
Mm,
influence
yeah.
and how his goal with this movie was to make the single white female elevator more iconic than the Rosemary's Baby elevator.
Wow. He might have succeeded. I mean, we'll talk about it more with the apartment, but um yeah, strong Rosemary's Baby vibes with the
Mhm.
setting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um We mentioned Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yes.
She is fucking iconic in this.
She's so good. Like I said, when I watched this briefly before, I was really confused because I got her mixed up with Rachel Lee Cook. You know, the three names.
Josie.
Yeah, for Josie. So I was like, that's Josie? I was like, she looks so different in this movie. But like they're kind of similar enough that like I was like, huh, yeah, okay. Like I was like, that makes sense. So it took me like a good amount of time to be like, I'm mixing something up here. But she's great in this. Whoever she is, not Josie.
This was the first movie I saw her in, and she's in so much stuff. I feel like she is in, at least in my orbit, she's in, I feel like every fourth movie I watch has Jennifer Jason Leigh in it. She's in a lot of things. And I kind of, she's very hot and cold to me. She's very hot to me in this movie because well, she's hot and she's just really good.
Yeah.
She can be very flat though for me sometimes, a little monotone.
Yeah.
My favorite role of hers is in The Cut, which is a Meg Ryan movie directed by Jane Campion, who did Power of the Dog.
Oh, yeah.
She plays Meg Ryan's sister, and she is so weird and so cute and charming in it. Yeah, it's my favorite role of hers.
Nice. Yeah, she seems like she would, again, like maybe I have seen her in something else if she's done a lot, but I feel like she, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like I feel like she does very well in like thrillers because she has that kind of like very cute face but like simmering weirdness. So she worked really well in this.
Yeah, I like when she's kind of a devious, weird character. When she's just a normal character, it never works for me.
Yeah.
I think this movie really just cemented that in my brain, though.
Right. Yeah. But also like I think she's just too cute to be normal. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
She's so cute in this movie.
Yeah.
They all look great. The movie, the cinematographer is an Italian man whose name I cannot pronounce. And he did Suspiria.
Wow. I get a lot of Suspiria vibes from this too. Like not as obviously like overtly horror, but like a lot of the shots and the like none of the camera is like a POV shot, but like the point of view of the camera, I get like a lot of Suspiria vibes. That makes a lot of sense.
And the lighting in this movie is so good.
It's so good. I'll only bring it up briefly now because I'm sure we'll want to talk about it with the apartment, but there's this one shot down the stairs, like a bird's eye view. And it's so funny because like I didn't think of it while I was watching it, but now thinking of it, I'm like, that was Suspiria vibes, like very Italian, very dramatic. Oh, it's so good.
This is a great vibe movie as well.
It is.
This is usually a summer movie for me. I love being hot because their apartment doesn't seem to have air conditioning either.
Yes.
And it's such a good like turn on the heat or turn off the AC in July and watch Single White Female.
Yes, yeah. I had mentioned it to you, but I watched this movie in a teeny tiny cabin in the middle of nowhere, Maine, and I could not have felt more detached from the setting. But it was but it was still a great watch.
So the director, he was Oscar nominated for a movie he did before this, whose title I forget. I've never seen it. He did the movie Murder by Numbers with Sandra Bullock, Michael Pitt, and our gothic girly Ryan Gosling.
Ooh, okay.
Did you ever see that?
No.
I remember liking it.
Yeah.
I remember liking it. It was in 2002. I saw it once in the theater and then never saw it again.
Okay.
But he seems really nice. I love the commentary. If you're listening and you have the option to get the DVD with the commentary is fantastic. And they talk about how they didn't want it to be single white female. They wanted to take that out of the title. Even then, they were like, the optics of this. But for some reason, the studio was really attached to that.
Interesting.
But in protest, Whoopi Goldberg auditioned for the lead.
I
which
would
is so
have
badass.
loved that.
Right?
Oh, that would have been so good.
And
Wow.
yeah, I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
But the phrase single white female, I feel like is still, people know what it means, even if they haven't seen the movie. It became
Right.
a meme in the 90s
Yes.
before we had memes. And I found a Reddit post just from last year that used it. It
Really?
was on the Am I the Asshole board.
Mm.
And it was basically, Am I an asshole for calling my best friend's girlfriend a single white female? And then
Yeah.
she told the story about how her best friend's girlfriend, Chloe, started styling like her, bought colored contacts to have the same colored
Oh,
eyes as her, and
yeah.
then she, like, the writer of the poster poshmarked some of her clothes, and the girl was buying her used clothes.
Oh my god. That's so
So,
funny and
most people said, "You are not
horrifying.
the asshole."
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
crossed the line.
Well, I saw something about how like single white female is like a common term now to refer to a woman who like goes a little cuckoo and like starts copying you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, iconic. This movie is
Yeah.
iconic.
It is. It really is.
So let's talk about the gothic elements of single, white, female. All gothic films have 4 elements: a girl, a guy, a house, and a haunt. We have Allie, our girl.
Yes. Yep. She's a great girl.
She is basically designing the program that Cher has in Clueless.
She is. Yeah.
Like like, single white female Clueless would not exist were it not for single white female.
So true. So true.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. She's great.
She's really smart, really stylish.
Mhm.
I love her clothes in this movie.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I love Hetty's clothes before she does the single white female
Mm,
makeover. So maybe if I was in this situation, Hetty would be the girl and I would be the single white female.
you'd be changing for her,
I would
yeah.
be changing for her. But no, Allie is great. She's a great character. She's very tough. I mean, I think just from like some of the reviews I saw in Letterboxd and stuff, like I know a lot of people had the issue with she has her, I think, are they engaged or they're talking about getting engaged at the beginning?
They're really close to either getting engaged or are engaged and fantasizing
Yeah,
about their wedding, her and Sam.
Sam, yeah. And so they have a big blowout because Sam has slept with his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend, ex-wife. Um, and long story short, they get back together. So I know a lot of people have a lot of issues with that. I'm not here to judge. Relationships are a mystery.
Mhm.
But I will say I would be pissed if I was Hetty in certain parts.
Yeah, because the only reason she has this gorgeous rent-controlled apartment, which we will talk
Yes.
about. I
Yes.
can't imagine her actually needing a roommate financially. She
Hmm.
only gets a roommate because she doesn't wanna be alone.
Right. And Hetty even so should we just kind of segue into the guy is
Yes.
Hetty?
Maybe, now that I'm thinking about
Oh,
it, maybe Allie is the guy and Hetty's the
maybe Allie.
girl.
Yeah, because like Hetty asks during the interview process, like, are you planning on getting back together with him? Because I don't want to be like turned away in a couple of months. Like she asks that and she's like,
Mhm.
no, no, come live with me. Like, it'll be great. We'll just be a bunch of gal pals. I would
Mhm.
be pissed.
Yeah, I agree.
And Hetty has not built any credit from this arrangement. Like
Right?
she's rudderless. All she has is her cute little bookstore job.
Yes, which
Oh,
you know does not pay well.
no, of course not. I would be pissed if I was her.
I agree.
Yeah. Justice for Hetty.
The writers and the director, basically everybody
Hmm.
seems to be surprised that the audience is not more sympathetic towards Hetty.
Not more sympathetic. Like they're
Yeah.
surprised. Like
Like
they agree with our stance.
they were shocked
Yeah.
when Hetty gets killed at the end and the test audience cheered. They thought
What?
people would be sad that she
Oh,
died.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if sad is the word I would use, but like I'm kind of pissed for her. Like,
I
uh,
wish the movie had done a better job about that.
yes.
Do you think it's killing the dog that makes her irredeemable?
Ooh. I think it could be killing the dog. But I don't know. The dog's just a puppy. I don't know. I don't know why
And like
that's
you said,
better
we
for
don't
me.
see her do it. The dog could have fallen.
It really could have. You know what? It's her treatment of the gay. I definitely don't care that she kills Sam. I could see it being the treatment of the gay best friend though. He really did nothing wrong.
She does beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, but she also kills the creepy employer who tries to assault Allie.
Right. That is a heroic moment.
Yeah, so I don't know. No one's perfect.
No one's perfect. Yeah, I wish the movie had made maybe Allie and even Sam a little more flawed or a little more, I don't know.
Mm,
That's my one thing with
yeah.
the movie is I wish it were a little more complicated.
I will say, like, yeah, I think Allie is definitely portrayed as this very like smart businesswoman, perfectly poised, no bad qualities necessarily, except
Yeah.
for then, of course, like people are pissed that she got back together with Sam, but whatever.
I I love her giant laptop computer that she carries around. It's like a
Yes.
old desktop that cracks open.
Yes.
It's this giant Mac laptop.
Yeah, it's great. She's like the original Carrie Bradshaw. She's a what's that? Oh, she's girl boss. She's girl bossing too hard.
She's girl. What is it? Girl. What's the old thing? Girl boss, gaslight,
Oh yeah,
something.
girl boss gaslight. Yeah, I can't
That's
remember.
her though.
It
That is
is.
her.
It is.
Hmm.
Yes, she is the blueprint.
She really is.
Ugh, Allie.
So yeah, I think she could be the guy. Hetty could be the guy.
Yeah, it's just bad. I mean, you throw Sam in there. Fuck Sam.
He
He could be the guy.
he could
He
be the
is the
guy.
guy because he's
His death also iconic.
so good. Actually, that was when I was reading about that movie, The Roommate, that I thought was a remake. One of the biggest things that, like I was reading about how it's not a remake. And one of the things the author pointed out was there are no iconic death scenes like a stiletto to the face. And I said, that is so true. It's iconic.
Iconic. I don't know what it is about that, but it is so good.
It's so good. And it's because at least for me, it was super unexpected. I mean, I figured
Mm.
it was coming, especially like him being killed in some way. The stiletto to the face was, and it's kind of anticlimactic, isn't the word because it is very like intense. But the fact that he's like this major character, and it is really sad to think of Allie losing this person. And then you kind of get later the really sad scene about when she finds out. But it feels almost like very like he's very like disposable in that moment. Like
Mhm.
it's very surprising.
And Jennifer Jason Leigh is so good. After he's dead, she kind of plays with his face with her foot, and it's
Yeah.
just like, hello.
Hello. Yeah.
And yeah, that whole scene is good. She pretends to be Allie to seduce
Mm-hmm.
him,
Mm-hmm.
so then she can tell Allie that he assaulted her.
Right.
And it's that scene though, it's so funny because she forces herself on him and then he's upset and won't talk to her. And she goes, "How's it going, sleepy guy?" Like and she gets into bed with him. She is
It's like it's fine.
That's one of my favorite lines.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with this. Yeah.
So we have probably the most iconic thing in this movie, which is our house, which is her
Oh,
apartment.
it's so great. Like you mentioned, it's like rent stabilized. The arrangement of how she got it makes zero sense because Allie was like in a business arrangement with her partner who also developed this software with her. And I don't remember what it is that the partner gets, but Allie is left with the apartment. and the
Right.
software. I think maybe the
Right.
partner got like the name or like the company. I don't know. But like, I can't believe you got an apartment out of this deal. Anyways, so
I know.
bizarre. Um, and also in that case, wouldn't a roommate be allowed because they must have been living? Did the business partner give her single person apartment? It's so bizarre. Um, but yeah, it's so gorgeous. It's it's that apartment like when you watch when you're younger and you're like, oh, I could afford that because like the sink is leaky and it has this old bathtub, and then you watch it when you're older and you're like, oh my god, that apartment must be $6 million a month.
I know. It's mostly because it's huge.
It's huge, big, beautiful windows, suspicious vents that you can
Mm-hmm.
hear your neighbors through, which, oh my God, I love gossip so much. That's ideal for me.
Very
Um,
Lucy and Ethel.
yes, like you can hear your neighbors crystal clear. Um,
Even though they're on
oh,
different floors.
I was reading an article. I don't know if I know obviously the apartment building still exists. I don't know if this aspect of the apartment building still exists, but apparently when it was built or in its early stages, it had a rooftop pool and garden, which like I wish they had a scene of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that would
amazing.
them lounging by a pool. How fun.
Mm-hmm.
But
They're too pale though.
that is true. They're very pale women. But yeah, an
Mm-hmm.
amazing apartment. I know it's your favorite part, so please regale
They
us.
they are the whitest white females. Just going back to that real quick.
They
They are
are.
very
They are.
white. They are very white.
They're very pale.
Yeah, this is my favorite movie apartment.
Mhm.
I do think it is better than the Rosemary's Baby apartment.
Mhm.
And similar to the Rosemary's Baby apartment, the exterior is real and
Mhm.
the interior is a soundstage. But
Yes.
but Barbet Schroeder says that he modeled this apartment after an apartment a friend of his used to live in. So this
Oh.
apartment does exist somewhere in
Oh.
Europe or Sweden or wherever he's from.
Yeah. I also
Eh,
read that the shots of the central stairs are real.
And
Yes.
the stairs are from the building. So the building is called the Ansonia.
Mhm.
It's at 2109 Broadway and it's on the National Register of Historic Places.
Mm.
And the stairwell is real. Unfortunately, the
Mhm.
elevator is not. That's also on
Oh,
a soundstage.
yeah.
But this building is only a few blocks from the Dakota, which is the Rosemary's Baby
Wow.
building. Yeah.
Wow. We'll have to take a
And
foot tour.
they 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 shot like in an LA soundstage and
Mhm.
on location in New York.
Mm.
And they said that the S&M club that they went to
Oh, yeah.
was real
Oh.
and it is now a Mexican restaurant.
Of course. In New York? Yeah.
Yes.
Womp
They said you go
womp.
down the stairs and you're in a
Yep.
Mexican restaurant.
Does not surprise me.
One of my favorite details though is by the phone and the answering machine, there's this little card that's the Mona Lisa, but with a cat head.
Oh.
Did you notice that?
No.
They show it like 3 times. It's like
Yeah.
it always grabs my attention. It's such a weird little thing. It's such a weird little
Oh, I
set
love
piece.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how in the bathroom there's no um like built-in mirror. It's like a mirror that they clearly have had to hang up themselves with, I think the mirror's designed to be this way, but like with a little like a ribbon and it's like tacked into the
Mhm.
wall. I don't know why, but I love that. It really bothers me though that so the shower and tub are separate, which is fine. I actually prefer that. But the shower doesn't have a lip, just kind of goes floor and then shower.
Oh,
That bothers
yeah.
me. I don't like that.
That's a mold problem waiting to
Exactly.
happen.
Mildew for sure.
Mhm.
Yep.
But that's how she's able to afford it. It's so flawed.
Oh, it's so flawed. The sink sometimes spurts and then it gets you
Mhm.
and your prospective roommate wet and you guys have a good giggle about it.
And you have to use a screwdriver to jimmy the elevator
Oh,
sometimes.
I love that. Talk about a Chekhov's gun. That screwdriver hanging from the
Yes.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, the movie's really well constructed, I think,
Mhm.
especially around the apartment. The apartment is its own character, the
It
building.
really is. It
Mhm.
has, again, like I'm assuming a obvious nod to Rosemary's Baby, a creepy basement with a washer dryer.
You're
And
right. Yep.
yep, a lot of, and that's a big culmination of the tension happens down there.
Hmm.
Oh, it's so beautiful though.
I love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
So last but not least, our haunt. We don't really have any haunting supernatural.
Yeah,
I said the haunt is untreated mental illness.
that's fair. That's fair. To be fair though, it seems like her parents are very involved. From
You're right.
the little interaction that you get with the parents, it seems like I thought it was implied that they had gotten her some help and then we're kind of like, okay, you're probably good. Go move to New York City where everyone is great and sane and you're gonna do great. Um
Right.
so, maybe
Irresponsible.
just like a bad choice. Although she was living in like Florida. Isn't that like another kind of B plot? Is that another one of
I
her
don't
roommates
remember.
died or something?
I don't
Um
remember.
yeah, so maybe she just kind of got away. She
Yeah.
scurried off. I'm not sure. Um
She was a twin, and then her twin
yes.
died, and so
Yeah.
she's always been missing this twin sister of hers.
Right,
That's
right.
what I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, so mental illness, loneliness, lack
Loneliness.
lack of a sister. I
Mhm.
grew up without a sister. I haven't tried to kill any. Actually, my best friend has short red hair.
Mm.
So maybe one of these days, if I
Mhm.
jump on this podcast and I have short red hair, maybe call my therapist.
Okay, I will
Yeah.
do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an only child, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
I would love to live alone in that apartment.
Yeah.
So
Oh
I just
my
think Allie's
God.
crazy for wanting a roommate in the first place.
Well, especially like it's kind of offensive that she's like, "Oh, I'm alone." Your best friend lives a short elevator ride
Mm.
away. Like,
That's true.
you're not that alone. You have a key to his apartment. You can go over whenever you want.
Yeah, she's really needy.
Yeah, she is. Ugh.
I do like the montage we get early on of her interviewing the different applicants,
Yeah.
and the one who says that she's an incest survivor, and the she's like, "Well, I don't have any memory of it actually happening, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it did happen," and she
Didn't she
just
say
keeps.
like her like psychic says that it happened or something? Yeah. She's great. I would love a movie with her.
She's great. She's played by Jessica Lundy, who was Mrs. Stupid in the Stupids movie with Tom Arnold. She fucking slays that movie.
Wow. Wow, what a great actress, really.
Yeah, she's very versatile.
Yeah.
But they said that they talked to a psychiatrist
Mm.
to see if Hetty was believable.
Mhm.
Or if she was too crazy to be believable. And the psychiatrist diagnosed Hetty with borderline personality disorder.
Okay. I'm not
And
very familiar, so
well, I'll tell you.
so
So, according to
please.
the Mayo Clinic,
Mhm.
borderline personality disorder affects the way people feel about themselves and others, making it hard to function in everyday life.
Mm.
It includes a pattern of unstable, intense relationships, as well as impulsiveness and an unhealthy way of seeing themselves. Impulsiveness involves having extreme emotions and acting or doing things without thinking about them first. Talks about mood swings, anger, strong fear of abandonment or being left
Ooh,
alone, and that these do often get better with age.
interesting. Yeah, I agree with that diagnosis, doctor. Um,
Mhm.
obviously hers is not improving with age. Maybe
Well,
it is. Maybe this is minor.
they're supposed to be in, like, their 20s,
Right, right. Yeah.
and even though the hair ages them, I think,
Yes.
um, to me, the di that pair that's just like being in your 20s, or maybe I had borderline
Yeah.
personality disorder too, but that
Yeah.
seemed pretty normal for me.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
So we have a few bonus gothics.
Mhm.
We have doors,
Lots of doors. So many
lots of
doors.
doors, and mirrors, which
Mm.
we named as a bonus gothic during the others.
Right.
And other movies with iconic mirrors that we've talked about were The Night House,
Mhm.
Skeleton Key, and Candyman.
Right.
But this one makes a big motif of the mirrors, so much so that there's a big Jennifer Jason Leigh accidentally shattering a mirror with her own reflection at the end. Very,
Yes.
very thematic.
Yeah. You get a lot of that like shot of one of them holding a mirror and the other one coming over the shoulder. That move.
Mhm.
That's a big one. Yeah.
It
Like
also
I
feels
said,
that also feels very European to me in its
it
filmmaking, the
does.
playing with the reflections.
It does. Yeah. Great bathroom mirror, as I previously stated.
Mhm.
You know. Yeah. Mirrors. There's no Panano.
No Panano, unfortunately.
No. You
There's
could
the keyboard is on that giant computer
right. Yes, that should count. You
that
could
she
say
connects to CompuServe with.
Surf. You could say that there is a romantic rival. Hetty, I would argue that she's very much in love with Allie. She's kind of using Sam as this proxy
Yep.
in a lot of ways, but I think that she has strong feelings for Allie. And there's
I
some
agree.
yeah, there's some like weird tension between the two of them in general. I mean, Allie has a moment where yeah, it's Allie who goes up to the door and Hetty is masturbating, right? I think.
Yes.
Yes. And she like stays there. So
She watches her.
she
Yep.
watches her. So a lot of sexual tension there. So Sam is really
He's the
he's the
third wheel.
third. He's the third. Yeah.
He's the third. Yeah, because that's how Allie disarms Hetty too. When she's
Right.
tied up, she kisses her.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, definitely
Mhm.
very like romantic, sensual relationship happening between them.
The way the writer talks about it, he says he viewed it, the screenwriter, was
Hmm.
that Hetty had a crush on Allie, but maybe didn't know it.
Yeah. I I have met some crazy lesbians in my day, and if they don't know where to put that energy, I could see it coming out this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's not just exclusive to the gay male community. That's good. It's
It's
just
all
being
of the
gay.
gays.
It's
Yeah.
just being gay.
Well,
This is a
especially
very gay movie.
it's very gay, especially early 90s, weird phallic haircuts. It's very
Mhm.
confusing. It's very confusing for a woman.
Jennifer Jason Leigh's always taking her top off just in the middle of the apartment.
Yes. Forgot about that. Yeah, she's a
Mhm.
lot of boobs in this movie. I feel like
Yes.
I don't think we should actually make it a bonus gothic because I don't want to talk about it every single time it happens. But it could be a bonus gothic boobs. We've watched a
Boobs.
lot of boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I remember because as a child,
Hmm.
growing up in the South, boobs were the scariest thing in a
Mm.
movie.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I think I didn't finish watching the movie when it was on VHS was because
Yeah.
of all the boobs.
A lot of boobs. Actually, that was something else I came across in my brief Google of the movie was Common Sense Media, that website that rates movies based off of it gave it like 2 out of 10 stars. It's like it's like
Rude.
really really low for profanity, for violence, for nudity. It's like they really do not like this movie.
They don't like the queerness of it.
That's so true. Honestly, if it was a girl and a guy, flying colors.
Mhm.
Let it go.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Unless the guys
Graham's a
start dressing in drag, then whoo.
right. Graham is very masculine for a gay man.
Yes, he got it from his mother.
Yes.
I love him.
He's great.
He's
And
so good.
he's a cutie
He
too.
is a
I don't
cute
know that
gay
actor,
guy.
but he's cute.
I feel like he's actually done like a good amount. Like I was surprised to see how much he had been in. Um, but yeah, a cute gay guy with a big fat orange cat.
The cat is
He,
so cute, and the cat stays by him while he's unconscious in the bathtub.
yes, he hangs out with him the whole time. Oh, yeah, he's the best.
So we've gone over our gothic elements here. Our
Mm-hmm.
girl, our guy, our house, our haunt, our mirrors, our boobs. But what do you think? Is this a gothic movie? Is it so gothic? Is it goth-ish or no
I
gothic?
I think it's gothic.
Oh,
I
really?
think,
Okay, tell me
yeah,
more. I was gonna say not at all.
really. I think
Yeah.
it's gothic. I think the apartment obviously helps a lot. It has this air of mystery to it
That's
that
true.
I find very gothic. I am realizing the more and more that we talk about gothic movies that anything like sapphic feels very gothic to me.
That is
It's
true.
a very sapphic movie. Um, I mean, I guess maybe I could now really thinking about it, maybe it's more gothish, but I would still like put it at least like somewhere in the gothic realm. Um, I think Allie is a great gothic heroine. She does some very smart things. There's a point where she's almost saved by the landlord because she turns the volume up. Like she has like all of these moments in the movie that I'm like, oh, that's really clever. Um, she's a strong, independent woman. She doesn't kill him, but she kicks the shit out of that gross employer. I love that.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe gothish, but I would have put some gothic elements to it.
Okay, you've moved my needle from no
Yay!
gothic to gothish. I initially was like, it has a cool house,
Yeah,
but I think we've talked about what are the key elements to being gothic, and I was initially thinking just having a house
yeah,
doesn't make it gothic. Just
yeah.
having a lot of mirrors and great lighting doesn't make it
Right.
gothic. But I think it's the sapphic part that you've
It's the
swayed me with.
sapphic.
That's an underrepresented gothic motif
Yeah.
in the movies that we've been watching anyway.
Yes. Yeah. We need to find more sapphic gothic movies. If anyone has any recommendations, I feel like when I picture this movie in my head, and maybe this is just like the iconic shot to me, is there's a shot where I think she's laying with Sam, but Allie's in bed. And it actually really pisses me off because she's on her bed, which is on the floor, and she's laying so that her feet are facing the window. And that bothers me so much. But it's dark and her sheer curtains are like billowing. And to me, that's just like the most gothic shot like you could possibly have. Like this woman in a bed, she's super pale, she's like kind of sprawled, it's dark, and you have these billowing white gauzy curtains. Like, come on, like that is Dracula.
That's what I was thinking. It's
Yeah.
Lucy and Dracula.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Stop it.
The Europeans know how to do gothic.
They really do. And you know what? Honestly, I like this. I'm glad you like brought up the whole European aspect because I like the concept of like this very American story, finding a roommate on essentially Craigslist, but having this like very European phantasmia kind of thing going on. It's very fun.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah.
Are there any memorable scenes that we haven't already discussed that you wanted to talk
Ooh.
about?
I guess I probably should have saved that her laying in the bed with the gauzy curtain scene because that is like what stands out in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. How about you? What is your memorable scene?
I don't know why this stands out to me,
Yeah.
but I forget what has happened. It might be after Hetty has beaten Graham and she's
Mm.
soaking her bloody clothes in the sink and saying it's her period.
Yes.
And Bridget Fonda says, "I'm making some tea. You want some tea?
Mhm.
It's chamomile." That line delivery,
Yes.
I don't know what it is about that. It's so good.
It
Like
really is.
the way she says, "You want some tea? It's
Tea. It's like kind of
chamomile."
like suspicious. Yeah.
Yes, it's so funny.
It's good. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's my because she says something like, I'm really crampy as she's soaking this like insanely blood soaked dress.
The
Like
whole sink water is red, yeah.
yeah.
There's a heavy flow.
Got a heavy Flo. Her Aunt Flo visited.
Yeah. I also like the picture of the two of them at the end where the
Mm.
picture has been torn in half and you see the two halves of them. That
Yes.
was a good cinematic touch. Even if the ending is a little sloppy with the voiceover,
Right.
the picture kind of redeems it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like that.
And then I just want to call out, so Stephen Tobolowsky, who plays Mitch, the
Hmm.
pervert boss. He was on the Netflix One Day at a Time sitcom,
Oh, okay.
and he was so cute and charming on that as like he's like 60 or 70 now.
Yeah.
And he was dating the Rita Moreno character and is
Oh,
just such a little nerd.
yeah.
And going back to Single White Female and seeing him as this pervert is always
Yes.
so startling.
Yep.
And in the commentary, so the commentary on the DVD they recorded, I think in 2018,
Oh.
and they call Barbet Schroeder calls him Me Too 92.
That's really good.
Yes.
Oh, see, I actually know him from Glee. I was a big
Oh.
Gleek. I don't know if I ever watched past the first season, but he's definitely on the first season. He's actually the teacher who gets fired so that Mr. Shu character, the really cringy teacher, can join and then start the Glee Club or like whatever. But he gets fired for, I think, being a creep.
Interesting.
But he has a great line in that show that I say all the time, which is they're talking about Josh Groban and someone says, "Who is Josh Groban?" And he goes, "Who is Josh Groban? Kill yourself." And I say that every single time I talk about Josh Groban. So I love him.
I love that.
He has a very special place in my heart.
He's great. I think he's an underappreciated character actor.
I think so
feel
too.
like he might compete with Richard Jenkins a lot.
Ooh, yeah.
And you get Stephen Tobolowsky when you just need them to be a little dorkier.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's great.
He's great.
Yeah.
So that does it for Single White Female. What else have you been watching, reading, enjoying, Amanda?
So I have not had the best luck with watching movies and reading recently. But I will shout out, I just finished reading this book. It was actually, I listened to the audiobook. And it was called We Used to Live Here. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's by Marcus Clean or something. Starts with a K. I know that. It's called We Used to Live Here. And I really enjoyed it. It was very unsettling, very creepy. So basically the premise is it's this couple, they buy up a house in Oregon, I believe, to redo it and then resell it. And the family that used to live there comes and shows up on their doorstep one day and the father says, "I used to live here. Can I show my family around?" Hesitation, whatever. They let him in. They show him around. And just like weird stuff starts happening. It actually kind of gives me Mother vibes a little bit.
Ooh,
Because
okay.
it's like Mother, it's like the guests kind of show up and it's just sort of this frustrating, like, why aren't they leaving? What is taking so long? And then like things just start to escalate from there and it gets very strange. This book it's genuinely very creepy. There are some very scary parts to it. My biggest issue with it is I just think that there are scenes and descriptions that go on for way too long. It definitely could have been a little bit more concise. But if you like a book with a lot of description, a lot of focus on setting, you might love this book. But overall, I mean, it was very creepy. The audiobook I listened to it driving up to Portland, Maine, and then further on there. And I think it might have even lasted me the whole way home too. So it's a pretty long book. It's good for road trips. It's very engaging. And there's some cool, almost like found footage-y kind of aspects to it. Like there's like little parts in the book where it cuts to like a police interview that you think isn't related, but it turns out it is. It's very engaging. Not the best horror book I've read this year, but again, if it sounds appealing to you, it probably is. It was pretty good.
Is it gothic?
Good question. I would say it's gothic. I'd have to think about it a little bit more, but there's definitely a really great house. Again, a lot of description goes into it, so there's some really cool descriptions of like there's obviously a creepy basement, a creepy attic, which I think that bothers me a lot when a book or a movie or really anything, the house has both a creepy basement and an attic, because it's like pick one.
Choose one.
Choose one. You can't have both. But it has both. There's some cool descriptions of like stained glass windows, and the setting is, again, like I thought it was a little bit too much, but the way that it's described, it's really like lush and very isolated. But it definitely evolves into something I was not expecting at all. Which again, some people might hate, because I think sometimes there's like the type of reader who, because honestly, I went into this book thinking it was going to be like a thriller, and it's not. It is very spooky, which for me was a pleasant surprise. So I think, but Mother is kind of the same way. Like if you don't know what Mother is about, you start watching that movie, you might think it's like a domestic thriller, and then it is not. So yeah, so it I liked it though.
Is it supernatural?
There is an element of supernatural, but it's
Okay.
semi-psychological. Again, I don't want to give away too much, but I guess if you really want to hear it and you hate any spoilers, fast forward like 30 seconds. It kind of gets almost into like an eldritch horror, like almost Lovecraftian. Yeah. So it's very unexpected, but it's not as, I don't usually like that kind of horror. And but I think it's done well enough in this book.
Okay.
Yeah. We used to live here.
I will not read it
Okay.
because I don't like a lot of descriptions.
Yes.
That's why I read all the books by Ira Levin, who wrote Rosemary's Baby. He did not dwell.
Yep.
But there's a movie in the works of this book. It looks like the author's name, I don't know if he's German, Marcus Kliewer.
Oh, yeah.
And the movie is supposed to come to Netflix, and it will star Blake Lively.
Oh, interesting. I mean, it's a relatively new book, but it is, from what I understand, very popular. I listened to it on Libby, and I probably was waiting a good couple of weeks.
Okay.
So it's definitely popular. I don't know how I, because the two main characters, the people who own the house, they're a lesbian couple. So I don't know how I feel about Blake Lively in that role. I just don't see her as a lesbian. And I mean, she wore a great pantsuit in A Simple Favor.
That's true.
And I still don't really see her as a lesbian.
We'll see if she has that range.
Yeah. Interesting. I will watch it, and who knows? Maybe we'll be talking about it on the podcast.
Maybe the Pink News, which seems to be a gay or lesbian website, says it's a sapphic horror movie. This could be the sapphic gothic that we have been waiting for.
Actually, it could be really good to talk about on the podcast. So, we'll keep an eye out for that.
And we know it won't be as scary as a Colleen Hoover book. So
oh my God.
At least there's that.
So true. Much less traumatizing. Yeah. Anyway, so that is my recommendation. What have you been loving?
Well, I hate myself and decided to watch all of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies in the month of October. So each October I try to watch a series that I haven't fully engaged with before. Last year was Saw. They may never be that good again.
Oh, immaculate.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. First of all, did I tell you how many movies there are in this series?
I think you might have, and I was flabbergasted, but please repeat it.
9.
Oh my God. I can't believe that. I can't believe there's more than 2.
They are some of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't like the original. I don't like it so much I don't understand why it's even a classic. I think it's terrible. I think the tone is so wrong. It's hilarious to me, but I'm laughing at it. They got the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think, gave 2 directions. One was act crazy.
Yeah.
And the other was scream more.
Right. Yeah. And they nailed it.
That's the whole movie. They did. Yeah. I think they satisfied the director's vision, but it was a shitty vision.
Yes.
So I had seen 1 and 2. And then I watched 3, which is called Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation,
Oh God.
which has Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey.
Right. Yeah.
Highly recommend that one for the entertainment value.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey is going balls to the wall, and I love Renee Zellweger, and she's very charming in it.
Yes. I think you had me watch a scene from that movie and it made me want to watch the whole thing.
Then they flip things on their head. Usually there's a girl screaming the whole time.
Yeah.
But this time they have Leatherface cross-dress and scream the whole time.
Yes, that's right.
I don't even know if he picks up a chainsaw.
No. No.
But it's I actually recommend that one. Is it
Mhm.
good? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But it is fun. So then I'm gonna jump ahead a bit. So then there are some other movies where they did the Halloween thing. So they pretended that only the first one existed, and they did a sequel to that one.
Right.
One of that is the worst of the worst, I think.
Really?
And it's kind of funny because even though it's a sequel to the original one, which took place in like 1979,
Right.
this one they decide to set in contemporary times, which is 2009. So it's been 40 years.
Mhm.
And I know they say black don't crack, but I think the same actor with no makeup plays the sheriff both in 1979
Stop.
and in 2009. No one has aged from the flashback.
That's so
And
funny.
the main character is played by Alexandra Daddario.
Oh yeah.
The Alexandra Daddario, yes.
Yeah, big eyes.
Emmy-winning actress,
Oh.
Alexandra Daddario.
Yeah.
She would be 40. Like, she's born in 1979.
Yeah.
They just didn't even care to do the math. And if it was campy and funny, like, I would kind
Right.
of be okay with it, but it's so serious and
Mm.
has one of the worst lines in any movie, which is when you found out that Alexandra Daddario is cousins of Leatherface,
Ooh, of course.
and they make Leatherface into this anti-hero where he then slaughters the real bad guys.
Oh.
And she gets the chainsaw and she tosses it to him and she says, "Do your thing, cuz."
That's so bad.
She deserves an Emmy for being able to say that, honestly. She deserves an Oscar. And then they did a prequel.
Mhm.
So they pretend this was a prequel to that sequel.
Oh God.
Where you find out the origins of Leatherface.
Yeah.
Very well shot
Mm.
and completely unengaging. I looked at my
Mhm.
phone most of the time. And then there's a 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre on
Right.
Netflix.
Mhm.
That one is back in the original timeline
Right.
as the 5th one. So it's the sequel to the Renee Zellweger one.
Oh my goodness.
The good thing about that one is that it took 50 years, but we finally get an actual Chainsaw Massacre in
Ooh.
Texas. He carves the
Oh.
shit out of a ton of people on a bus.
Nice.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
That one's kind of a...
Yeah.
So then the one that was hardest to find, I didn't want to pay money for these movies.
Right. Yeah.
And so I had to request one from a faraway library.
Mhm.
And it is called Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. And there's a remake that I forgot to mention called Texas
Okay.
Chainsaw Massacre from 2003
Right.
that has Jessica Biel in a wet t-shirt.
Yeah.
And that one I kind of liked.
Yeah.
Leatherface was actually scary.
Ooh.
There was some suspense to it. Jessica Biel as an actress, great, but as a
Yes.
character sucked because she would just sit there and watch her friends get killed at least like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So then Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning is the 6th movie in the series, and it
Okay.
is a prequel to a remake. This should not be good.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
Really?
I am here to report that if you see any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, make it this one.
Interesting.
I was just as shocked as you are to hear that. I put it on, like, already had my phone in
Yeah.
one hand, like, ready to just, like, play a game
Zone
on my
out, yeah.
phone, just so I could say I finally suffered through this. And then I found myself drawn into the movie, And then I was tired, so I turned it
Yeah.
off. I had watched 30 minutes of it.
Mm-hmm.
I got home, I rewound it, and I watched that first 30 minutes again so I could watch the whole
Wow.
thing. And then I watched it a third time with the commentary.
Wow.
I'm obsessed. I love this movie.
So what year is that one?
This is from 2006.
Okay.
And it stars Jordana Brewster from the Fast and
Oh,
Furious movies.
love her.
She is so good in this movie.
Really?
It stars Matt Bomer, one of those interchangeable Ryan
Yes.
Murphy gays.
Yep.
And it has this actor named R. Lee Ermey, who is, if you've ever seen a clip of Full Metal Jacket, which is all I've seen,
Yeah.
he's the army guy that's yelling.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar.
I know him from a full motion video Sega CD game called Double Switch that starred Corey Haim and Debbie Harry.
Yep.
He is incredible in this movie.
Really?
Yes. This movie is so unlike a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie because it has 1, good actors,
Okay.
and 2, a good script, which is something
Interesting.
all of the other movies lack.
Yeah.
And the screenwriter, I forgot to note his name, but he would later be Oscar nominated for writing Up in the Air with Anna Kendrick and George Clooney.
Wow.
The dialogue in this movie is so good, and the gore effects are horrific and all practical.
Yep.
It has one of the most upsetting scenes in a horror
Mm.
movie. Like, just
Mm.
this movie's wild. I
Yeah.
highly recommend it. It suffers from being a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie,
Yeah.
but it does the best with what it has to work with.
Right.
Being a prequel to a remake, I think serves it because they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want.
Okay. Because I was going to ask, do you feel like you needed to watch any of the other movies? No. Cool.
Not a bit. They have all these little references to, and if you do, you only need to watch the remake. Those are the only 2 that are
Okay.
connected. And those are the only 2 that exist in
And
this
the
timeline.
remake is the Jessica Biel one?
Jessica Biel one.
Okay.
And that one's tolerable. And
Yeah.
then Arlie Ermey is in that one too, and he's great.
Okay.
But he chews the fucking scenery
Really?
in this movie, and he is so good. And listening to the commentary, they talked about how he would do so many takes and do it different every time and just had so much fun with it. They
Yeah.
had so much good shit to choose from when they were
Oh,
editing.
yeah.
He just seemed like an actor's dream. He was
Yeah.
like an actual decorated war veteran
Really?
who became an actor. Yeah. And he is so fucking good in this. I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
And like the female characters suffer from they only exist in relation to the men.
Right.
But Jordana Brewster is great. So the plot is that Matt Bomer has a hot brother,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt Bomer went to Vietnam because we're in the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going back to Vietnam. The brother has been drafted, but doesn't want to go to war.
Mm.
And he is trying to get up the courage to tell his brother that he's going to burn his draft card and flee to Mexico. So
Oh.
you kind of have this good story,
Yeah, good
even
setup.
without the Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff.
Right.
And by the time shit hits the fan, you really care about the characters, and it's
Yeah.
really tough. And there's one of a scene that I'm not sure I've ever seen in a horror movie in this,
Mm-hmm.
where Jordana Brewster, I won't tell you what has happened to her, but some bad shit has happened to her. She is about to escape, and she hears her friend screaming. And the way she performs this scene is so good because she just wants to leave, but she
Yeah.
can't. She just can't leave her friend. And the resignation on her face, it's
Mhm.
almost like she knows she is going to die if she goes back, but she
Right.
has to do it. That one scene,
Oh,
she's so good.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm probably overselling it, but I ate this movie up.
That is so
But
Interesting. I'm so excited to watch it now.
yes, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2 thumbs down. Hate it,
Yep.
hate it, hate it. One of the worst franchises ever. But this has become one of my favorite horror movies. I love it.
Oh, that is so wild.
I went on quite the roller coaster journey, and I had to think a lot. Like, am I liking this just because the rest are so bad?
Right.
But the more I talk about it, the more excited I get. Like, I do think I legit love this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is so exciting. I cannot wait to watch it.
I bought the digital version after watching it from the library.
I
bought
was
the
gonna
digital
say,
version on Amazon.
if I have to, I will rent the digital version.
Oh, I can
so.
give you my
Ooh.
Amazon password and you can
Okay.
watch it.
Yeah, just say it right now over the
Yes, I'll say it over here and everybody can watch Texas Chainsaw
Yeah.
Massacre at the beginning and order whatever you want with my credit
Yeah,
card, which is
right.
saved on there. Well, thank you, Amanda. And thank you, Ghosties, for listening to us break down Single, White, Female. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you to those who have given us 5-star ratings. We have some 5-star ratings on these services, which is
Woohoo.
very nice. And share us with a friend. Until next time, stay ghosty. Bye-bye.
Bye.